The Pink Floyd song "Wish You Were Here" has a line that says, "We are two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl." This made me think of an analogy for spirituality and psychosis. Think of ourselves as fish swimming in a nice, climate-controlled fishbowl. Everything is perfect, pH level, everything's suited for these bodies of ours to survive. Now think of spirituality, all that that is unknown behind the veil, as a large, eternal lake or ocean. When you dump a fish into a lake or ocean, depending on whether they're fresh or saltwater fish, let's just say freshwater fish. So you dump a fish into a lake, they're either acclimated enough to survive, or they can adapt enough to survive, or they're just in such shock that they just die almost immediately. This to me describes the difference between spirituality and psychosis perfectly. We are dipping our toes into the unknown throughout our whole lives. We might see little glimpses of the unknown or sense little glimpses of the unknown, but we aren't built to be there. So when you have a psychotic episode, psychosis, you might be hearing and seeing things that you're not ready to hear and see. I mentioned in my last video on this that it's similar to psychedelic drugs. So your mind, if it's acclimated enough, if it's ready to adapt, when it takes a psychedelic drug, you can have an amazing spiritual experience. But if you're not, if you have nothing but negative thoughts in your brain, if you have nothing but fear and anxiety, then it's going to be tough for you. Now, there are times when you take a psychedelic drug and you're not ready for it, and you confront those fears, and it ends up being amazing in the long run. But the experience itself is going to shock you and frighten you. And once you get through that, that means you've adapted. That means you've adapted to your spiritual experience, and it turns out for the best. If not, you could end up like the singer of Pink Floyd, the original singer, Syd Barrett, who just lost his mind after going away for a weekend doing some LSD or whatever hallucinogen he was on. That is the same with any kind of spiritual awakening, any kind of spiritual experience at all. If you are peeking behind that veil and you are not ready for it, then you will either struggle so much that you eventually adapt and eventually it'll be fine, or you will just lose yourself. And you're the part of your mind that connects to the earth, connects to all these things that we see in this reality, will be shattered. And I'm not saying it's always irreversible, but it's not good. It's a very, very big struggle. This is why we must have patience when seeking our spiritual awakening or connecting with God. We have to learn to overcome our fears. We have to learn to accept and embrace the beauty and positive even in the darkest times in life. We have to learn to surrender and let God and the spiritual world take us where it will and not struggle against it. It's like trying to swim up a stream of raging water. It's just not It's usually a futile thing trying to do. You're going to be a better person in the long run if you get through it. And those struggles will help you, but it's not worth shattering yourself and risking losing everything for. So you have to have patience. You have to learn to let your mind wander. Be by yourself. Go out in the woods. Go out anywhere where you can have some sort of meditation of the mind and let your thoughts run free. I've mentioned before that I really believe that you should be by yourself completely. No friends, no wife or husband, no pets. And the reason is because God is speaking to you through everything in nature, and you have to learn to focus on those things. If you see an animal and it approaches you and you can feel some kind of connection with it, make sure you focus on that. And if you have other people or a pet with you, the chances are those animals aren't going to come and speak to you, because your mind isn't focused on your spirituality and God. Your mind is focused on whatever else is with you, whoever else is with you. Even your pet, you're looking, making sure your dog's not going to go and chase a deer or whatever. Or if your friend's with you, you're focused on talking to them and how they may feel. And we don't realize how much we change just being around even the people we're most comfortable with. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to have those people with you. Yeah, go walking with those people and your pets all the time, but make time for yourself. This is, to me, it was the most important thing. Being out by myself was the only way I started seeing behind that veil, seeing what God wanted me to see, but had to make sure that I was ready to see before I did. So dip your toe in 1,000 times if you have to. Don't go full speed into that raging water and expect to swim upstream, out of shape and unhealthy. There's a physical conditioning that you have to swim upstream in real life. There's a spiritual conditioning that you have to swim against the spiritual stream in any way. And ultimately that is a losing battle, because that stream never stops and eventually your conditioning runs out. But when you are ready, when you're ready to pour that bowl into the vast lake, the eternal lake of the divine, then it will be the greatest freedom, the greatest inner peace you will ever experience. If you do go through the psychosis and those events, you can recover from them, and you can learn the lessons from them. And really, if you're able to function afterwards, if your mind's not completely shattered, like Syd Barrett's was, and you can look him up, the Pink Floyd singer from the the mid '60s. If your mind's not shattered, and it's ready to go, you can use that as experience, use that as spiritual conditioning to learn to swim with the current, to surrender completely and just go with the flow. And that's what opens your third eye, your pineal gland. It opens you to the world as it really is, beyond this one, and not just this fishbowl that we're all living in. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. God bless.